What's going on, everybody? This is John J Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with a brand new iteration of Maurice Royals Jr.'s RTG using the Oklahoma High School football mod on College Football Revamp. We've had a very good freshman season, where we end up putting big stacks and get nominated as an all-district time player in our first season. But we're looking for bigger and better things, and we're looking to prove some people wrong here in our sophomore season as we try to build upon our freshman season. So really excited about going through this sophomore campaign to see if we can avoid that sophomore slump, and I hope you guys are excited as well. With that being said, if you're ready to get strapped up for a good one, make sure you go ahead and do a couple of things for me. Hit that like button, and then also hit that subscribe button as well if you do happen to be brand new to the channel, as it helps grow this community tremendously. But with that being said, let's go ahead and check out a couple of things before we jump into this first game. And first and foremost, you know I always gotta check out what we have going on in terms of what our schedule is for this season. So we start off pretty light. We're gonna take on Victory Christian. We're also gonna take on North Shore, but then we have a big game happening here, right? We're gonna take on Norman. We're gonna take on our crosstown rivals after a one-year hiatus from this rivalry game, but we're gonna really show out, and we're gonna have a great time here in this battle for the great city of Norman. Looking forward to that one. That's one I definitely have circled on our calendar. And then this is what the rest of our sophomore schedule looks like. We played plenty of these teams from the previous seasons. We are taking on Garber for the very first time, but we're also taking on many of the conference opponents that we took on in our freshman year as well, just typically in a slightly different order. So looking forward to attacking this particular schedule. I think it's very navigatable. If we can win this Norman game, we might be off to the races. And then over the summer, I did end up putting in some work. So I did actually approve a couple of overalls. I went from an 85 overall as a freshman. I did end up getting moved up to an 87 overall. I got slightly fastered. And one of the most important things that I do want to mention is that over the summer, we actually did receive our first scholarship offer. The Arkansas State Red Wolves love what they saw from our freshman tape, and they wanted to jump on the train early. So we do have an official offer from Arkansas State out of the Sun Belt Conference. Oh, and one more thing that I do also want to point out is that I'm going to have bigger expectations for me this upcoming season. And that is because, well, we are expected to be back as an all-sectional type player, because here we are in the preseason, and we are a preseason second team all-sectional nominee. So bigger expectations for us this upcoming season. Let's see if we can live up to said expectations. Alright boys, so what we got going on here, this opening game against Victory Christian, and honestly, if we roll our head here out and we just play Norman North Timberwolves football, we should come out on top here. You see that overall discrepancy, and we are certainly not afraid to make a stand as we try to go 1-0 to start our sophomore year. And with that being said, we'll go ahead and get things started here. Victory Christian leaving me wide butt naked open here. I'm going to pick up an easy gain of 11 there. Nice little start to the season there. Find the open spot in that zone defense. And then also doing a nice job bouncing it out to the outside as well. That was not something that we did very much in my freshman year. Just getting a little bit faster, a little bit stronger. And I think that's really starting to pay off right away, as we're going to try to bounce it again to the outside, but it wasn't as successful. Still picked up a few yards there, so you love to see it. We'll see if they go back to me again here, a second down. Again, nobody really covering me, so I'm going to take this to the outside, and we're pushed out of bounds, creating a goal line situation for our teammates. And look at this. Easy touchdown. Easy touchdown. You cannot leave me uncovered like that. That is disrespectful, and you're gonna pay for it by giving up a touchdown with absolute ease, stupid. Stop playing with me, man. I'm not playing these games here in my sophomore year, that's for sure. Very next possession that we do get, though, we're up 7-0. Our defense does their job. But at the same time, though, Victory Christian, they are doing a really good job pinning us deep here. We have to start this out inside the 5-yard line, so need a couple of runs just to get ourselves some breathing room. And thankfully, I am able to deliver on the matter as we're close to 50 yards already through one quarter. Let me have that whole game as I bounce to the outside. Oh, we got some space to work through. I get dragged down. Did a nice job finishing that run, though. 18-yard run. You'll love to see it, as we'll run it yet again with yours truly, trying to bounce through a defender real quick. We'll pick up a gain of 9 there, and we're doing some dangerous work down on the goal line. Out here with more than 10 yards a carry, but it's going to be Carson Sampson that's going to find the end zone this second time around, as Camden Sixkiller, our star quarterback, he's already thrown 2 passing touchdowns here in this first half, and he's going to look to build upon that as well. Very next drive, we pick up here midway through the second quarter. We're up 14-0, as we'll go ahead and run it up the gut with MR2. And MR2 is going to pick up a gain of 6 there. And so the yards per carry average is coming down a little bit, but doing a nice job of being more of a receiving threat as I juke somebody out of their shoes. Oh, don't play me like that in those one-on-ones. You don't want to put me in those one-on-one situations, because I promise you it's not going to end well, buddy. And neither is going to end well if you let this guy get into open space, as our teammate is going to find the end zone with ease. Touchdown, Norman North. And the Timberwolves are coming out swinging here in our sophomore year, up 21-0 already. And we're not done here in this first half, not by a long shot, as we're going to run it up the middle with MR2. He picks up a gain of 7 for us, and eventually we weren't on the field for it, but we do get a touchdown off of that as well. So up 28-0, and it's going to keep going here as well. Jackson Lindquist is going to make a catch here on the slant pattern as well, and that gives us a 35-0 lead. Just is really becoming a matter of how much longer are we actually going to stay in this first game, right? Because if it continues to be a blowout like this, I would imagine that the coach is thinking about putting the backups into the game at any given moment. I bounce this run out to the outside, make a couple guys miss. No one technically bringing me down as I step over somebody. It's just some real disrespectful stuff there. As again, we'll run it up the gut with MR2. And MR2 is looking borderline unstoppable. Nearly 150 yards rushing on the day, as we finish with a huge first win here at home, taking down Victory Christian 49-14, ending up being your final score in this opener. So even though I didn't get that player of the game, I do end up setting a career high for most rushing yards in a game. I had 141 yards rushing, which is the most that I've had in my high school career in a single game so far. I even somehow found the end zone as well on one of the drives that maybe I got hurt on and didn't realize I was actually out. I came back later on in that drive. But with that being said, was tied for second for most catches, though. I had 4 catches, 47 yards, and a touchdown. Did all of that in the first half, but they were leaving me wide butt naked open, and I sure made them pay for every single moment that they did exactly that. But this next game that we have going on is going to feature us against a matchup against a higher caliber team than what we did end up going against in our opener. This is the North Shore Mustangs. The Mustangs like to throw that ball around just like we do, so could be in for a little bit of a shootout on our hands. So I don't know how many carries I'm going to get in this particular game, but when we do touch the ball, we gotta make those opportunities last, you know what I'm saying? Just like that one in particular, able to get out into open space again. I don't know what DBs or these defensive coordinators are doing, but like, you gotta guard me out there, and they do a better job of that, as Dorney is able to get around that linebacker. He's too fast for a linebacker, man. Like, you can't do that to him, as that is going to allow us to get off to a really fast start here. We're going to be up 10-0 here, and we still haven't heard the end of the first quarter yet. So, good start for your Timberwolves here in the second game. But North Shore showing a little bit of fight, as for the first time this season, I am witnessing North Shore actually score against us. So still a pretty close game here after one. I'm finally able to find some space. Had a hard time finding any kind of running room in that first quarter. I mean, the other 6 carries that I had, I combined for 2 yards. So like, we was down horrendous for much of that first quarter, but really starting to warm up here in this second quarter though, as my offensive line does a better job of opening some running holes for me to run through, as we'll take yet another carry, bounce it inside right away, and nearly pick up that first down as well. Gain of 10. So now, in 2nd and inches coming up here, could be a play action, and sure enough, they set up the halfback screen. I'm out in open space for a little bit, but then I run into a gang of Mustangs who eventually bring me down. Easy first down conversion for your Timberwolves, though, as now we're going to have a chance to get it into the red zone here after I run it for another gain of 9 yards. Particularly those first 5 carries of the game or so, I would have a really efficient average, but I'll have an even better thing to report. A touchdown for the Timberwolves, as MR2, your boy, able to find the end zone, baby. Let's go, man. So we're up 17-7 here after 1 quarter, and we have a chance to expand this lead even further. Got a couple of timeouts that we can work through as well, so let's see how we shake things out. As now we got a 1st and 10 in the red zone. Dropping back as our quarterback looks to the left-hand side and throws a dot over to Carson Sampson into the end zone. And it's going to be a touchdown for your Timberwolves once again, as we get off to a massive lead here at the end of this first half. That being said, we still have a job to do, though. Want to finish things out here in the second half, as we'll take the handoff up the middle, and we will go ahead and pick up a gain of 9. We'll see if they ride us a little bit more here as we try to secure this win, as they send an all-out blitz. And I'm going to be honest with you, I have no idea how I got positive yards off of that, right? Like, they had a pretty good blitz called. I thought I was going to be caught in the backfield, but that's not what happened to me at all. Picked up some good yards off of that. Unfortunately, it doesn't lead to any points for us, as that drive did end up stalling out. But 3 minutes left to play in the game. We have a chance to ice this one, and runs like that are what are going to help this team out. Real chance here to possibly pick up 100 yards, but that drive stalls out as well, and North Shore gets a field goal. So we're going to need some big plays from our offense, and Carson Sampson is going to deliver. Camden 6-killer with the game-winning touchdown. And this was a tight throw. I mean, that coverage that number 12 had, that's not even terrible coverage. That's actually pretty good coverage now that I think about it. But we're able to escape from the jaws of defeat, and we will be able to get to 2-0 on the season here. So while running was a little bit more difficult to accomplish in this matchup, we still found a way to leave our mark, though, finishing with 86 yards and a touchdown on the ground. In addition to that, we also built upon what we did in the previous game. 5 catches for 55 yards. That in particular is a season high for us early on, and just looking that we continue to build off of those particular stats. But our biggest game of the season so far has us take on our crosstown rivals in the Norman Tigers. And now, this is the same team that we share a stadium with, as they're coming in here ranked number 2 in the state of Oklahoma. We're getting a little bit of love as well, coming in ranked number 25 in the state. But let's see if we can give Norman their first loss of the season. Big time matchup here, and it's going to need people like me to set the tone for us from that physicality standpoint. Got a 3rd and short coming up here, as they're going to run with it here, looking for that first down marker, and we get it with ease. Our offensive line doing just a great job blowing Norman off the ball. No diddy. And it's going to eventually lead to a chance for us to score first, which will take full advantage, as our boy Devin is going to find an easy crease. And you can't give a big open window for Camden Six Stiller to throw through like that, because he is an absolute menace. And we're going to take the lead off of that. Defense is also coming through as well, as they're able to get a stop defensively, as we're going to get a big hole to run through. Still on my feet, and I get caught from behind though. What a run for your boy, as we get 25 on that run. And that's how you start a football game for sure. Have a chance to capitalize on some points here, as our boy Carson Sampson is going to find the end zone yet again. Another touchdown for the Timberwolves, as we'll be able to have that scoring strike there in the corner of the end zone, quickly taking that 14-0 lead. But I want to make sure that we finish this first quarter strong, as we have a chance to add to our stats a little bit, as I'm going to go ahead and get my second catch of the day. Only got a couple of yards receiving. Hopefully we can change that here towards the end of this first half, as I get a chance to take this halfback screen. Need 12 there, and we're going to get those 12 yards. It'll help set up Norman North for an eventual touchdown, as we'll take a 24-7 lead into the locker room. But then we have a chance to go to distance here with MR2 all the way into the end zone. Touchdown, Timberwolves. Let's go, baby. The blocking was there. The quarterback recognized that I was indeed wide but naked open, and the rest was history there. And not only are we beating the number 2 team in the state of Oklahoma right now, we are demolishing the number 2 team in the state of Oklahoma. Y'all better put some respect on my team's name when we're done here, if this type of score can hold up, because of course, you know, you never know what Norman can do in this last quarter and a half, right? So I'm not trying to count my wins just yet. I just want to make sure we finish the job, as we help set up this play action. And again, Carson Sampson is going to get behind the defense for us there, as we put another touchdown up onto the scoreboard, and we now have ourselves a 38-7 lead. Now, 38-7 still your score, as Norman failed to score yet again, as they leave me wide but naked open there, just leaving that entire center part of the field open. Like, we'll take those yards, no problem, as we are on the verge of possibly putting up 100 yards receiving. But man, I'm doing some great work from the running back position as well. Another little carry there is going to pick up a gain of 5. And then one of the last plays of the third quarter, I'm going to bounce this out to the outside and pick up another game of 11 there, as it'll eventually fuel a huge victory for your Timberwolves, as we demolish our crosstown rivals 44-14. That means we get off to a 3-0 start on the season, and we should be moving up in the polls pretty fast. So while this wasn't our best game on the ground today, we found ways to contribute in this game, as we broke off a 25-yard run. We also finished with a decent 4 yards a carry, as we finished with 79 yards rushing. But of course, our biggest play of the day was us taking that 61-yard scamper to the crib. Not only did we finish with 5 catches, but we actually lead the team in receiving yards. There was nobody else other than us that ended up with 75 yards receiving on the day. Now, if there was ever a time to have a letdown type of game, it could very well be this one. You know, going on the road after we had that emotional victory against our crosstown rivals, we're taking on Sand Springs. Now, Sand Springs, they like to play what I like to call trestle ball, right? Like, they're going to want to try to control this time of possession. So we're going to have to make sure that we take full advantage of the opportunities that we do end up getting. And it starts with one of our first drives of the game. We get a nice little carry there, but the drive stalls out. However, I will take this halfback screen late in the first quarter, able to get across the 20-yard line in order to provide our offense some critical breathing room that we really could have needed. However, it was one of those games where scoring was just insanely hard to come by today, because we're almost at halftime already, and still we're at a point where no one has scored yet. No one has scored in this entire game, and they're going to let us go for it here on 4th down. Let me get this screen out. Ooh, yes, sir! Able to get out of bounds in order to save some time on the clock, which is important because we don't have any timeouts left to work with. But we got to move quickly, though. 1st and 10. Looking around. Going to throw over the middle, and I'm going to find the end zone. Let's go, baby. It took long enough for us to find the end zone, and we absolutely got it there. Touchdown, Timberwolves. We'll carry this 7-0 lead to half. But let's hope our offense can play a little bit better here in this second half, because all it takes is one play, and the team on the other side, they can either take the lead or tie things up here, right? And they already did that. They already have tied things up here. So still a closely contested game as we are getting closer to the end of this ball game. And even though we had a red zone opportunity in the 3rd quarter, could not capitalize. So we're actually down by a touchdown going into this final quarter of action. So gonna get a little spicy here for us here as we try to avoid our first loss of the season. I follow our blocks forward and pick up a gain of 7 on the run. As now we got another 2nd down coming up as we'll try to set up a read option here. They're going to let me take the carry up the middle, and that's going to be a 1st down for your Timberwolves as we're starting to heat up on the ground game in this second half. But later on in the drive, though, we only have a few seconds left. Brandon Dorney is going to get open down the field, and he's going to find the end zone with absolute ease. Touchdown, Timberwolves. And this was a closer game than what we originally wanted. Sand Springs certainly hung tough with us there, but we were able to avoid the upset and will still remain undefeated, at least for that time being. So this was a game in which we kind of abandoned the running game, to be honest with you, because I only had 13 carries in the ball game. I did what I could with them, though. Got 56 yards and average about 4.5 yards a carry, so it's not terrible. What I did manage to do, though, was contribute once again in that receiving game. I had 4 catches for 40 yards, had a receiving touchdown as well. We scored the first touchdown of the game, so even though we might not carry the ball as much, as we are contributing more to that receiving game than what we did in our freshman year. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and get ourselves immersed into our sectional play here now, as we'll now go ahead and take on the Blue Jays of Guthrie High School. Now, Guthrie is okay. They're 2-2, but they're certainly nothing home to write about, right? So if we can do what we're supposed to do, we should be able to come out and win this game, as we start with goal line opportunity here. And hey, just like we expected, Jackson Linkless able to find the end zone, and we will go ahead and take an early 7-0 lead here in our battle against the Blue Jays. Later on in the first quarter, I finally get an opportunity to shine, as I'm going to go ahead and run it up the middle. I was surprised about how open things were, but even though I am a little bit faster than what I was last year, I just don't have that breakaway speed that, you know, a lot of these college coaches would really love to see. But still able to do a good job following the blocks there, just being a tough, hard-nosed kid. You know, that's really the MO of me at the end of the day, as I continue to get those tough yards for my football team. And they want me to get those tough yards here. 3rd and 1, trying to find the end zone, but I can't go anywhere. Our offense loses at the line, and not only did we end up getting stuffed on the goal line, like I said, but we hurt ourselves pretty well, actually. We end up spraining our wrist, so not only are we going to miss the rest of this game, we're actually also going to miss the next game as well, which is a tough break for us. Hopefully our guys can come out and pull it out. And unfortunately, our guys were just not able to pull it out here today, as we get shocked by Guthrie, 20-19 being your final score. And just like that, we are going to take our very first loss of the season. So even though we failed to catch the football, we also failed to really make an impact in the rushing game, right? We were held pretty quietly, to be honest with you. While we were decently efficient with 11 carries for 50 yards, we were outrushed by our backup tailback, who was more efficient after coming into the game as well. Hopefully this doesn't create a controversy for us in the backfield moving forward. Now, thankfully, in the one game that we did miss, we took on this Fairview team that just isn't it, right? They're coming in 2-3, and while we weren't the most sharp offensively, we have a couple of injuries on the offensive side of the ball. Our defense did carry us through the day, though. We end up winning 24-3, and we're able to advance our record to 5-1 on the season. Now, with us being about halfway through the season, here's how our stats are shaping up to be as of right now. Now, we have about the same efficiency that we did had in our freshman year, but we don't have as many rushing yards a game that we would have in our first season, right? Now, granted, we did miss one of those games, which we did miss a game last year, so hope we can avoid that injury bug going forward. But what I will say, though, is that we have actually done a much better job being a contributor in the receiving game. Only halfway through the season already, I already have more receiving touchdowns from last year, and I'm on pace to be close to 500 yards receiving, which for a running back, that's extremely good. So, hey, with that being said, second half of the season. Oh, and one more thing, we did also start to receive some interest from the University of New Mexico as well. Still no scholarship offers, but we're getting our name out there to more FBS Division I colleges in this college football world. So the first game that I was able to come back from my sprained wrist injury was our road matchup that we have against the Bristol Pirates. Now, this is the same team that we played against late in my freshman year last year. This was the team that we had to beat in order to ultimately go to the sectional championship game as that Eastern sectional representative, right? So Bristol is not the same team as what we saw last year. They're only 1-4, so really not that same team that we saw in our freshman campaign. But that being said, they're putting up a much better fight than what they did our freshman year. That's for sure, as Bristol is actually going to have an early lead on us here. I'm trying everything I can to keep ourselves, ahead of the sticks, but we've just had some insane penalty issues here with our offensive line. Like, we only have like a 3rd and 10 in spite of what I've done. So trying to pick up the first down here as Six Killer is going to throw it to the left hand side, but it's going to be intercepted. Will be picked off, and that will mean that we're going to finish this first quarter out, and Bristol is actually going to have a 4-point lead. Now, thankfully, the Pirates couldn't do anything with that field position provided by that particular interception, and we were not going to be kept down forever, especially not this passing game. Zane Prater is going to break away from the rest of the secondary as he's going to take a simple little slant pattern, and he's going to take it 76 yards to the crib. That's an easy touchdown there for your Timberwolves, especially with the kind of speed that we do happen to have in our wide receiver game. That's absolutely a thing for us. Now, later on in the half, Bristol does end up coming away with another touchdown, so we need some points if we want to take the lead going into halftime, and we will not have that problem here, as we will have Camden Six Killer throw to the back of the secondary, and he's going to find Carson Sampson for the touchdown. I mean, wide butt naked open there makes my job a lot easier, having the block for this quarterback whenever receivers get open like this. So we do have that halftime lead, but let's make sure that we continue to hold on to this lead, as I need to do a little bit more here in this running game. Really haven't left my fingerprints on this game just yet. So let's see if we can change that here, as again our quarterback's going to throw over to the right hand side and finds Carson Sampson in the end zone. Touchdown, Timberwolves. And the Timberwolves are going to start breaking away from this Bristol team a little bit. Is this the breakaway moment? Well, the Pirates came away with a field goal, so this becomes a big drive for us here. as we want to try to put away this Pirates team as soon as possible. Don't want to give them this ability to believe, right, that they actually have a chance to come back and win this thing, because when you give a team like this at home a reason to believe, then we could run into some issues. But third and Longville, I have a chance to try to run downfield, but it's intercepted. Trying to target a tight end, Six Killer is going to throw yet another interception. Just an uncharacteristic day for our quarterback. He's usually not making those kind of bad decisions, and that particular interception does kill us, because that does actually lead to a Pirates touchdown. So that being said, going into the final quarter of action, we are all knotted up at 24 apiece. Six Killer is going to drop back, and I'm going to block for him, but he throws another one. Oh my goodness, he throws yet another interception. I'm here to help with the tackle at least, but oh my goodness, what are we actually doing right now? Like, it should not be this close. They should not have the lead right now, but here we are. Barbecue on the titties as I'm trying to make sure that we don't come back from my little 2-week hiatus with another loss on our schedule. So 2nd and 5, gonna try to run it up the middle, and we got a nice crease to run through, able to pick up a gain of 8 because of that. As now 1st and 10 coming up, as we're gonna run it up the middle. He's gonna go ahead and pick up a gain of 7 on the play, as MR2 gets us a little bit closer to the goal line. But the last play of the game, one that we desperately need, and we're gonna get when it matters the most. I come out here and I deliver. Touchdown, Timberwolves. And a tie would send this into overtime. But our coach is feeling spicy here. Our coach actually wants to go for it here. We'll see if the ball strategy works for Conan, and it does. Carson Sampson ends up being wide, butt naked open for the touchdown. And that's going to do it, baby. We were able to come back. Exciting ball game. Real exciting ball game that I was happy to be a part of. We end up winning a real close one, 32-31. We got to play a little bit better, because, man, we did absolutely got lucky. Who knows what would have happened if we went into overtime? But I'll tell you what, though. We're just happy that we got the win. But now we got some things that we need to work on. Alright, man, so even though we had to thug it out in this battle against Bristol, we still found a way to hit over 100 yards on the ground, but it definitely was not easy by any means. But what we did manage to do is help set up the game-winning play. That touchdown with a few seconds left helped us win when it matters the most, so we end up getting our 4th receiving touchdown of the season. And most importantly, we got the win. But now I find myself back at home in our comfortable stadium, as we're going to take on the Wolverines from Garber High School coming up next here, as we're trying to build up our winning streak once again, as we have a different style of play than what Garber has, right? Garber is more of a balanced offense, where we at Northern North, being a running back in an air raid, it provides its own set of challenges, right? But we're gonna go ahead and dump it off to yours truly, as we get a chance to take it for a pretty nice gain, actually. Gain of 16 yards there on the screen. It does eventually set us up for an opportunity to find the end zone, which has been really difficult to find any kind of running space or any kind of rhythm offensively, because we're down 14-0. I mean, we're straight up not having a good time at all right now, right? Like, we got the touchdown, but yards have been really difficult to come by. Garber's been doing a really good job of playing upward and taking away those deep balls that we like to throw sometimes. And this Wolverine team is absolutely not going to back down by any means, as I get a chance to actually get the pitch on the speed option. Usually our quarterback does like to take those for himself, but yeah, that's a big reason why we're not winning right now. You saw my stats on the lower side: 12 carries, 16 yards. We have been nothing short but down horrendous, but we're starting to show a little bit more life here, as Camden Six Killer is gonna throw his 2nd passing touchdown of the evening, in the rain, as the tight end does the rest of the work for us there. Don't get the extra point, though. The extra point is no good, so we're down by 8. So if we do end up scoring again, we will have to go ahead and try and go for the 2-point conversion. But for now, let's just worry about getting to the end zone. I pick up a nice block, able to find Braden Dorney all by himself, wide but naked open as well, as our guy is going to go ahead and find the end zone. Touchdown, Timberwolves. And we're going to go ahead and have a chance to possibly tie things up. But with that being said, we do fail the 2-point conversion, which we weren't even on the field for. And so down by 2 yet again, as I was wide but naked open for that 4th down conversion. I do pick it up, but the problem is Garber was able to score on their next possession. So even though we did what we originally needed to do to pull within a possession, Garber got that touchdown back, and now we're down by 9. So starting to run out of real estate here if we want to make this comeback happen. Thankfully, we get a little bit lucky there with the face mask, as now we need to pick up another 4th down conversion. I'm wide open and pick up a gain of 16 yards. Gotta get myself up quickly, though, because that clock is gonna be running. 2nd down, looking over to the right-hand side, and it's going to be intercepted. Oh, baby, it's gonna be picked off, and that might officially represent that fat lady singing, man. We end up losing 28-19, and the way that I was having such a hard time finding anything on the ground, I definitely feel like at the end of the day, this loss is on me. But to be honest with you guys, I feel like this loss is definitely on me because I had the worst game of my season, right? Had 22 carries, so I had plenty of times and opportunities to touch the rock. Literally did nothing with it. We had a long for 10 yards, but after that, not really much to write home about. I do salvage my day a little bit by having 5 catches for 56 yards, but because we were so one-dimensional, that really hurt us, and that's a big reason why we end up taking our 2nd loss of the season. So let's see if I can put together a little bit more of a complete type of game against our next matchup, which does pick us up against the Tigers of Stroud High School. Stroud coming in, and Stroud is a pretty offensively challenged school. They have not been... think of them as the Iowa of Oklahoma high school football. We'll essentially think of them as like that. But maybe they're making me eat my words a little bit too soon, because Stroud opened things up with a touchdown before we do. But Braden Dorney is going to completely change that in an instance, as he's able to take the scamper for a 75-yard touchdown. And that will allow us to tie the game straight away. I mean, Stroud wanted to leave their corners on island. They wanted to get to our quarterback, but our sophomore quarterback, he was a little too poised and a little too composed. So we got ourselves a tied game on our hands, or at least we did for a moment, as Stroud does end up scoring yet again. So maybe this could turn into a little bit of a shootout here after all, as we find ourselves down by 7 yet again. But with that being said, 6 killer, he wants to go deep, and he's got a receiver, and Jackson Winquist, who takes the top off the secondary. Touchdown, Timberwolves. And Norman North High School is gonna tie things up against Stroud. I mean, that was a free release. I don't know if that was supposed to be some kind of zone coverage, but man, that was not what was supposed to happen at all. That was that was definitely a breakdown in coverage, that's for sure. As now we got ourselves a tied ball game here, but let's see if I can get my ground attack going a little bit more here, right? Doing a good job blocking for the quarterback, and that's certainly important. But I gotta show that I gotta make some plays on my own too, right? And starting to warm up a little bit here, pick up 7 yards there on the ground. Let's see if they hand us the ball here yet again, as I do take the handoff, looking for that 1st down marker. Will be a couple of yards shy, but I'm certainly starting to heat up there a little bit. Later on in the 2nd quarter, I have a chance to take it on the halfback counter, and I get a lot more space to work with, as we'll pick up 11 there on that particular run. But then on the very next play, Stroud gets close to the line. I'm wide open here. Oh, if I was able to shimmy away from that defender, I could have absolutely been off to the races. But I'll definitely accept a 14-yard reception to help set up this very next play with Carson Sampson being all by himself, wide butt naked open. One of the best receivers in the state of Oklahoma. And he's going to find the end zone there yet again. Touchdown, Timberwolves. And so we'll be up 21-14. But trying to put a little bit of icing on the cake, I get a chance to run it into the end zone. And I will cash in on that opportunity as our offensive line was able to win at the line of scrimmage. So now 28-14 is your score, and a turnover is going to mean that we have a chance to make this lead even bigger, which I do. Leaving me on a linebacker? That's disrespectful. Stop playing with my fucking name like that. I am not that guy, pal. Another touchdown for your boy. And we went a little crazy there towards the end of the first half. Speaking of going crazy, I have a chance to add another touchdown to my name, which I do. Third touchdown of the game. And our team is absolutely up big right now. We're up 42-14 at the moment. We are not. We found them on the corner of effing around and finding out, man. We absolutely did that. And so did Jackson Winquist, who once again is going to get wide butt naked open behind the secondary. Can't tackle either in the secondary, apparently, as that's going to be the 5th passing touchdown that Camden 6-Killer is going to have through the air. We have been borderline unstoppable here today, and we could have ran it up a lot more if it wasn't for our coach. They're out here trying to be good sports. We end up getting pulled out shortly after that final possession, and we end up winning big. We end up winning extremely big here. 56-14 ends up being your final score. And not only that, but I also put together the best game that I've had, at least it feels like so far in my sophomore career. So while we weren't the most efficient on the ground by any means, we were at least able to find the end zone multiple times on the ground, and it's the most rushing touchdowns that we've had so far in a single game in all of the games that we played this season. But even bigger news is that we were able to make that contribution in that receiving game. While we didn't have that crazy day like some of the wide receivers that are on this squad, 4 catches for 34 yards is nothing to sneeze at. And we also found the end zone through the air as well, which is really cool to see. End up with 3 touchdowns, which is indeed a career high for us so far in our high school career. So let's go ahead and try and build off of this momentum as we now go on the road to take on yet another sectional opponent, the Lincoln Christian Bulldogs. Bulldogs coming in, one of the better rush offenses in the state of Oklahoma, so time of possession could be a key factor in this one in terms of who can impose their will a little better. But even though we might not be known for running the ball, doesn't mean that I can't. Doesn't mean that I cannot run that ball, because I'm going to find me some open lanes here nice and early. I'm trying to get me nice and settled in here as 2nd and 9. 6-Killer is going to look to my side, and I'm going to oh, whoa, I took a hit. Man, I'm glad I got back up, because, man, that looked like a hard hit, bro. That was an absolutely tough hit for sure. Drive did end up stalling. We end up having to accept the field goal out of that. But with that being said, you know, I'm doing my thing out here, man. These guys cannot handle me, at least not right now. Let's see if we can get another big time run for a 3rd and 8 as I get the halfback screen. Oh, what the grab! What a grab that we got there. Probably should have let it go. I'm gonna be honest with you, I probably should have let that one go. But I mean, look at this. I mean, like, you gotta say that's cool, right? But as I was going to the sideline, I felt an extreme pain in my back, and we get some terrible news. Doctor says that I broke my tailbone, and that means I'm gonna be done for the rest of the season. Been a frustrating last few games, and it looks like our sophomore slump is officially here, unfortunately. Now, lucky for us, though, we were able to pull this out, even though I got hurt very early in the game. We do end up winning 30-7, but being out for as long as I am, that's going to be an extremely tough blow for me personally. So in what's going to be our final game of the season, we're going to come out on a little bit of a sour note. I mean, only got 6 carries in the game, 6 carries, 24 yards as well. And even though we caught 3 passes in this game, we also didn't get a single yard, as well as 2 of them were halfback screens that ended up getting blown up in the backfield. So ending our sophomore season on a really sour note, to be honest with you. We'll go ahead and simulate to the end of the season, see how our team does in the last couple of games that we did have. So not only does our team go on a run, we end up winning the remaining games that we've had on our schedule, but we also get a chance to compete in the state playoffs. We get in as that number 12 seed. Now we're going to take on some very tough teams along the way. You know, the Jenks Trojans, yes, they're 9-3, but they played a very tough schedule to get to where they are. So, hey, we're going to have some fun here. We might be a little bit of an underdog, but with that being said, you never know what can happen when you put the teams on the field. And then for us personally, I thought we were cooked for our sophomore season, but we actually been healing pretty well, and I'm actually been upgraded to a game time decision for our first round matchup against Jenks. So don't know if we're going to be 100%. I doubt we're going to be 100%, but we're going to try and give it a go, and let's see if we can pull off a big upset in this first round of the state playoffs. But unfortunately for us, it was a game time decision and we just couldn't go. And apparently our team couldn't go either, as we were crushed by the Jenks Trojans in this first round. So our sophomore year does end up coming to an end, and it seems like we were kind of in this backfield by committee, because we didn't have that same lion's share of carries as we did in previous seasons. We shared carries with this number 6. Now granted, he is a senior, so don't have to worry about fighting for carries with this guy next season, but we definitely did not perform the same way as we did our freshman year, right? Like, we went about having about half our yards than what we did our freshman year, and even when we got carries, we were also less efficient as well. However, one positive note is that we did make more happen in the receiving game, in my opinion. While we had the same number of catches and yards as we did last season, instead of having only 1 receiving touchdown, we had 5 receiving touchdowns. So can still be a factor, even though we are trending in this direction of having a air raid game. But with that said, because of the fact that we kind of take that step back, we didn't have any other new teams that are either interested in us or are even giving us a scholarship offer. So right now we still are only rocking with 1 scholarship offer from Arkansas State out in the Sun Belt Conference. So we unfortunately could not avoid that sophomore slump, but we still have 2 more years of eligibility that we can work with, and it's going to provide us plenty of, fire in the eyes, so to speak, in terms of trying to, redeem ourselves. This was a down year for us, just point blank, right? So next episode, we'll have our junior campaign. We're going to try to forget what happened here in this sophomore slump, and we're going to go out there and really handle our business better and get back to where we were our freshman year, where we had that 1,000-yard campaign, where we were an all-sectional type player. But with that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, because I certainly did. If you did, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button, hit that subscribe button as well if you do happen to be brand new to the channel. This is John J Gaming on the mic, signing off, but hoping you guys are all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.